Listen to what this alien revealed about Earth's next reset. It's closer than you think. Do you get the feeling that the world is accelerating, becoming more polarized and chaotic? Do you feel this inexplicable urgency, as if we were approaching a deadline? Before we dive deeper, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Grab yourself a warm drink, maybe a cup of tea or just some water, and sit back as we begin this journey together. Arthur Bennett, a retired executive in the midst of an existential crisis, discovered the truth during a sleepless night. An alien appeared in his backyard and revealed that the next reset from Earth is not a conspiracy theory. It is a real cyclical event that the global elite knows about and is trying to control. The being showed that this event will not destroy the planet, but rather divide reality. You are about to discover why the polarization you see in the world is in fact a symptom of this division, and why the coming years will determine which reality you will continue to live in. The question is, if the reset is a split in reality and not a physical disaster, are you making the right choices to avoid getting stuck in the version that suffers the most? The alien promised to show Arthur Bennett the truth about the time we have left. But to understand why this message was delivered to him, a skeptical and tormented man, you first need to feel the intensity of the emptiness he carried at the moment of contact. Arthur Bennett, 69 years old, a former executive who had spent 42 years climbing the corporate ladder to vice president, woke up at 3:14 a.m., sweating, his heart racing, not from a nightmare, but from a feeling that had been coming every night for months, an existential emptiness so heavy it was suffocating. Martha, his wife of 40 years, slept soundly beside him, and Arthur looked at her thinking what he thought every morning. She's content. The children are content. The grandchildren are happy. Why am I not? I have everything I should want. So why do I feel like I've lost something fundamental? He got up silently, not for the first time, a routine of the last few weeks, walked to the kitchen, made coffee that he didn't need because he wasn't going back to sleep anyway, and sat at the table looking at the pile of 30 spiritual books he had bought in the last 6 months. Some half-open, most unread, titles promising answers, the meaning of life, spiritual awakening, life after death, purpose of the soul, but none resonating, none filling the void. He had tried meditation but couldn't quiet his mind for more than 30 seconds. Thoughts about work, money, non-existent problems kept invading him. He gave up after 2 weeks. He went to church 3 Sundays in a row. Sermons about morality and heaven and hell didn't touch the emptiness inside. It seemed like theater, empty performances. He watched documentaries about the universe, consciousness, dimensions. Fascinating, but not practical. They didn't tell him what to do with a growing sense of urgency. And this urgency, Arthur couldn't name it. But he felt it viscerally, as if time was running out to discover something crucial, as if an opportunity was closing, a window was narrowing, and he was racing against a clock he couldn't see, but could hear ticking in his chest. That particular morning at 3:30, Arthur looked out the kitchen window at the backyard, the starry sky over the Arizona desert, the dark neighboring houses, and thought for the 1,000th time, 42 years of working, accumulating, climbing the ladder for what? I retired 2 years ago, traveled, relaxed, enjoyed 6 months, and then emptiness, boredom, waiting for death. Is that it? Is that all? His 7-year-old grandson had innocently asked last week, "Grandpa, what's the meaning of life?" And Arthur had laughed nervously, deflecting the question with a joke, but the question haunted him because he had realized something terrible. At 69, after 4 decades of a successful career, he had no answer, had never seriously asked himself, had only lived on autopilot, doing what society said he should do. Success, money, status, family, check, check, check. But purpose, meaning, empty. At 4:0 the morning with unbearable insomnia, Arthur put on a sweatshirt, went out the back door to the yard, the cold desert night air cutting his face, sat in a patio chair, looking at the stars, expecting nothing, just escaping from the suffocating house, from the bed where he didn't sleep, from the life he had achieved. But that didn't satisfy him. And then it happened without warning. The star he was looking at began to shine more intensely. Not gradually, but suddenly and with movement, descending, not falling, but controlled, approaching. And Arthur stood up, alarmed, instinct screaming, "Run!" But his legs froze, watching the luminous object descend to the backyard, landing silently 20 meters away, raising no dust, making no sound other than a low buzzing that he felt in his bones more than he heard. It was a spherical shape approximately 4 meters in diameter, a surface that looked like liquid glass reflecting stars but also emitting its own light. A gently pulsing blue-silver, and an opening forming, not a door opening but material dissolving, and a being emerging. Tall, 2 meters, skin that seemed made of solidified light, translucent but present, without clothes because the body didn't need them, and a humanoid face, but not human. Large eyes with no visible white, only depth that seemed to see through Arthur to his soul. Arthur, his heart pounding in his chest, took 2 steps back. What? Who? Words making no sense, and the being didn't move, remained still, respecting space, and a voice came not audible, but telepathic directly into Arthur's mind, clear as if someone were speaking beside him. Arthur Bennett, 69 years old, 42 years of corporate career, retired for 2, growing existential emptiness, unread spiritual books piled up, failed meditation, insomnia every night, a feeling of urgency you can't name. Arthur froze, not from physical fear but from complete exposure. His life summarized in telepathic phrases. He asked, trembling, "How do you know all this?" And the being conveyed gentleness. "We have been observing for some time. Not only you, but millions like you. Humans awakening to the emptiness of lives built on false foundations. Searching without knowing what they seek, feeling urgency without understanding its origin." And Arthur, confused and inexplicably relieved that someone or something was finally validating a feeling he thought was his own madness, asked, "Urgency? Do you know why I feel like time is running out?" And he nodded energetically. "Yes, because it is running out. Not your personal time yet, but collective time. Earth is going through a transition that happens once every 26,000 Earth years. What you call urgency is the soul sensing the approach of a planetary reset, a division of realities, and you unconsciously know that you need to choose before the window closes." Arthur processed words that didn't make complete sense but resonated viscerally. Reset? Division? Choose what? And his words conveyed, wait. Reset of collective consciousness, Earth raising its vibrational frequency. And not all humans will keep up. There will be a division between those who raise and those who remain, and the choice is not a single conscious one but cumulative based on thousands of daily choices you are already making without realizing it. The next 5 to 10 Earth years are the final window to align frequency. Arthur, with the analytical mind of an executive trying to process, asked, "Are you talking about the end of the world? Apocalypse?" The being corrected him. "Not the end, change, not destruction, but transformation. And not the same for everyone. For some, it will be elevation. For others, a continuation of density, the same Earth, but different realities coexisting. And you already feel the effects without recognizing it." And Arthur recognizing the truth in it. Waking up at 3:00 inches the morning, a growing emptiness, the polarization he saw in the world, people around him seeming to go mad or awaken without any middle ground, increasing chaos. The effects. What's happening now is part of this reset. And he confirmed, yes, initial symptoms, acceleration of planetary frequency, forces each consciousness to choose, rise along or resist, and remain. And resistance creates psychological suffering that you see increasing. Anxiety, depression, anger, chaos, and you, Arthur, are in the middle. You haven't yet chosen clearly oscillating, and the emptiness you feel is your soul screaming that you need to decide. Arthur felt a shiver run down his spine. And how do I choose? What do I need to do? And the message conveyed. First, you need to understand what is happening. See with your own eyes, not theory, but the reality of planetary change. Come inside the ship. I can show you records, not words, but direct vision of the process that Earth is going through, of the approaching division, and of where you are in this spectrum. Arthur hesitated, looking at the house where Martha slept, the normal life he had built, the familiar security, and then, at the being of light, offering answers he had sought for 2 years without finding. And he realized if he refused now, he would return to bed to insomnia, to unread books, to emptiness, and would die without understanding. Or he could take a step towards something unknown, but real. He took a deep breath and decided, "Show me. I need to understand." Arthur entered the ship, the interior not matching the exterior. It seemed larger inside than outside, curved walls emitting soft, silvery blue light without a visible source. Not cold and metallic, but somehow organic, as if the structure breathed. And in the center, a console that wasn't a console, a fluid surface responding to the alien's touch with luminous ripples. The alien gestured for Arthur to sit on something that formed from the wall. Not a rigid chair, but a surface that comfortably molded to his body. And the alien remained standing beside the console. "What I'm going to show you isn't theory or belief. It's direct observations that my civilization has been recording for millions of Earth years, monitoring planetary development. And Earth, the planet you call home, isn't a dead rock spinning in space. It's a living, conscious organism, and it's undergoing a transformation that happens cyclically." Arthur, his executive mind still trying to rationally process, asked, "Conscious? Are you saying Earth thinks?" And the alien, conveying patience, replied, "It doesn't think like you think. It doesn't have an individual ego, but it possesses collective consciousness, what some call Gaia, planetary intelligence, that coordinates all systems, climate, ecosystems, magnetic fields. And this consciousness evolves, not linearly, but in cycles, and each cycle ends with a quantum leap in frequency." The alien touched the console, and the environment around Arthur perceptually dissolved, his consciousness transported, and he was suspended in space looking at the small blue Earth below, beautiful, fragile. And the alien narrated, "Earth has existed for 4.5 billion years, and during that time, it has gone through multiple cycles of elevation, each lasting approximately 26,000 Earth years, a number connected to an astronomical phenomenon that your science calls the precession of the equinoxes, the movement of the planetary axis." The vision sped up, Earth spinning rapidly, seasons passing in seconds, years in minutes, and numbers appearing floating. 26,000 years ago, last great ascension, advanced civilizations that existed before known historical records. Atlantis, not as myth, but as reality, disappeared not because they were destroyed, but because some consciousnesses ascended to a higher frequency, and others did not keep up, remaining at a previous frequency. Arthur interrupted, confusion growing. "Frequency? Like radio frequency?" And the alien confirmed. "Apt analogy. Yes. Everything in the universe is vibration. Matter is condensed energy, vibrating at specific frequencies, and consciousness also vibrates. Thoughts of fear vibrate slowly, dense. Thoughts of love vibrate quickly, light. And a planet as a living organism possesses a dominant vibrational frequency that defines the density of physical reality." The vision changed, showing Earth not as a solid sphere, but as a pulsating energy field, emanating waves of light. And the alien explained, "For the last 26,000 years, Earth has vibrated at a frequency we call third density, or 3D, a world of extreme duality, good versus evil, light versus darkness, separation, ego, materialism, suffering necessary for learning through intense contrast. And most of humanity has lived at this frequency, learning lessons through hardship." Arthur recognized that. 42 years of corporate career, competition, climbing by stepping on others, accumulating more than his neighbor, separation between nations, religions, races, everything he saw in the world. "So all I know is this third density?" And the alien nodded. "Yes, but now, the 26,000-year cycle is ending. The precession of the equinoxes is completing its cycle, and Earth as a conscious organism is ready to ascend to the next frequency, fifth density, or 5D. The vision showed Earth beginning to shine more intensely, frequency visibly accelerating, light waves expanding, and the alien continued. Fifth density is less dense reality. Duality still exists, but not as extreme. Separation decreases, unity increases, suffering drastically reduces, creation manifests more quickly because thoughts influence matter more directly. It is not a perfect paradise, but it is light compared to the current density. Arthur, processing the implications, asked, "And when does this happen, this frequency shift?" And the alien conveyed, "Wait. It has already begun. The process started approximately in 2012 of your reckoning, which many mistakenly interpreted as the Mayan end of the world. But it wasn't the end, but the beginning of a transition. And the complete transition window lasts approximately 20 to 25 Earth years, meaning that between 2025 and 2033, the peak of change will occur, a moment when the planetary frequency will establish itself at a new level." Arthur felt that urgency again, now with context. "And that's why I feel like time is running out? Because it literally is?" And the alien confirmed, "Exactly. The window is closing. Your soul knows. Even if your conscious mind didn't know until now, the soul perceives the planetary frequency accelerating, perceives the approach of a decisive moment, and tries to warn you through insomnia, existential emptiness, a desperate spiritual search. It's not a psychological crisis. It's awakening trying to happen." The perspective shifted, showing present-day Earth not from space but from the surface. Cities, people. And the alien narrated, "And you already see symptoms of transition underway. Look around. In the last 10 to 15 years, the world seems to be going crazy. Extreme polarization, people violently choosing opposing sides, politics, religion, ideologies, social chaos increasing." Arthur saw a quick montage of news he had watched. Protests, divisions, growing hatred. "Yes, I thought it was just a political or economic cycle, but it's worse than ever." And the alien explained crucially, "It's not a normal cycle. It's the effect of accelerating planetary frequency. When frequency rises, it forces every consciousness to choose, rise along or resist. And resistance creates friction, psychological suffering. Those who cling to the old frequency of fear, hatred, separation, ego, experience increasing agony because the planet can no longer comfortably withstand this vibration." The vision showed people on screens, faces of anger, fear, extreme anxiety, depression, and anxiety at record levels. It's not a coincidence. It's a symptom of misalignment with a new planetary frequency. Minds trying to live in an old paradigm while the planet has already changed, creating massive cognitive dissonance. And the alien showed contrast. Other faces, people at peace, meditating, serving communities, smiling genuinely. And, simultaneously, an increase in people awakening, seeking spirituality, questioning systems, choosing love over fear. These align with the new frequency, experiencing increasing lightness even amidst external chaos. Arthur recognized both groups. He knew people from both sides, some having nervous breakdowns, others seemingly flourishing. So, humanity is dividing. The alien transmitted, "Yes, but not physically yet, not as you imagine. The division is first energetic, vibrational, people living in the same city, but experiencing completely different internal realities. And this will intensify in the coming years until—" The alien paused, and Arthur, anticipation growing, asked, "Until what? What happens when the planetary frequency completes the shift?" The alien looked directly at him, immense eyes seeming to gauge whether Arthur was ready. "What happens is what happened 26,000 years ago, what happened in all previous cycles. Division, not of the planet physically, but of realities. Earth will continue to exist, but will exist simultaneously in two frequencies, 3D and 5D. And each human will experience a version corresponding to the frequency of consciousness they chose to cultivate." Arthur felt a shiver run through his body. "Two Earths? How is that possible?" And the alien prepared to explain, "Not two physically separate Earths, but two layers of reality occupying the same space, which your quantum physics is beginning to understand as parallel realities. And you, Arthur, and every human are now through daily choices, determining which version of Earth you will experience when the division is complete." Arthur, his urgency turning into controlled panic, asked. And how do I know which side I'm on? How do I choose? And the alien transmitted. First, you need to fully understand the difference between 3D and 5D, between low-frequency Earth and high-frequency Earth. Clearly see the characteristics of each, and then honestly look at your own life, your own choices, your own dominant thoughts. Ready to see? Arthur, knowing that the answer would determine the rest of his life or lives, nodded. Show me everything. Arthur's vision changed drastically. No longer a distant view of Earth, but a surface. A modern city he recognized as Phoenix, where he lived. Familiar streets, houses, people, but something different. A heavy atmosphere, air seeming thick, opaque colors. And the alien narrated, "This is 3D Earth, third density frequency, where most of humanity has lived for the last 26,000 years. Observe characteristics." Arthur saw streets full of people, but no one looking at anyone else. Everyone on their cell phones, isolated in individual bubbles, tense, frowning faces, a constant hurry. And the alien transmitted. First characteristic, separation. In 3D, the dominant illusion is that you are separate from everything, from other humans, from nature, from God. From this illusion, fear is born, because if you are alone, you need to fight for survival, accumulate resources, protect yourself from threats. The vision focused on the corporate office executives in meetings but not collaborating, competing, each trying to outshine the others, take credit, climb by stepping on others. And Arthur recognized after 42 years of his career exactly like that. Second characteristic, dominant ego. In 3D, identity is based on possessions, titles, status. I am my job, my money, my car. And the ego constantly needs to prove its worth through comparison with others. Never satisfied because there is always someone with more. Arthur felt uneasy seeing his own life reflected in it. The large house he bought not because he needed it but because his neighbor had a smaller one. The promotions he pursued not out of passion but for status. And the alien continued without judgment. Third characteristic, materialism. In 3D, reality seems solid, immutable, and you believe that happiness comes from acquiring external things, more money, a better house, a comfortable retirement, but never enough because emptiness is internal, not external. The vision showed a person in a store compulsively shopping, piles of things they would never use, trying to fill a void that shopping couldn't fill. And the alien transmitted. Fourth characteristic, linear time as a prison. In 3D, the past haunts you with regrets. The future threatens you with fears. The present is never enough because you're always looking back or forward, and this creates constant anxiety. Arthur saw his own routine. Waking up at 3:00 inches the morning, brooding over the past, decisions he made, time he wasted, worrying about the future, how much time is left, when he will die, never at peace with the present. And the alien continued. Fifth characteristic, extreme duality. In 3D, everything is good versus evil, right versus wrong, us versus them. And this creates infinite conflict, wars, political polarization, religious division, each side convinced that it is right and the other must be destroyed. The vision showed news reports. Two sides shouting at each other, not listening, not seeking to understand, only attacking. And Arthur recognized the entire country, the entire world trapped in this pattern. And the alien conveyed, wait, this is Earth 3D, not an inherently bad place. It was a necessary school. Important lessons were learned through intense contrast. But the cycle is completing, and for those ready, there is an alternative. The vision changed abruptly. Same city Phoenix, but different vibrant colors, clear air, golden light seeming to emanate from everything. People in the streets, but different, smiling, looking at each other, a visible connection. And the alien narrated, this is Earth 5D, fifth density frequency that the planet is raising to. Same physical location, but radically different experience. Arthur looked around in amazement. It seems more real than real, more alive. And the alien confirmed, because it is less dense, matter vibrates faster, allows more light to pass through. The first characteristic of 5D, unity. The illusion of separation dissolves. You recognize that all are aspects of the same source. When you look at another human, you see yourself. From this perception, automatic love is born. Not romantic emotional love, but recognition of interconnectedness. The vision showed people working together, not competing, but genuinely collaborating, finding joy and collective success, not just individual success. And the alien conveyed the second characteristic, heart consciousness. In 5D, ego still exists, but does not dominate. The heart leads. Decisions are based not on what benefits me, but what benefits everyone. And paradoxically, when you serve the collective, you are served. Arthur saw a marketplace where people traded freely, helping each other without expecting immediate return. Trust instead of fear. Third characteristic, conscious co-creation. In 5D, you understand that thoughts create reality, not magically, instantaneously, but visibly. What you focus on expands. So you choose your thoughts carefully, focusing on gratitude, love, possibilities, and life responds. The vision showed a person meditating, then acting with clarity, manifesting synchronistic opportunities, not struggle, but flow. And the alien continued. Fourth characteristic, flowing time. In 5D, you live primarily in the now. The past is memory without emotional charge. The future is possibility without anxiety. And complete presence in the moment brings peace that 3D never knows. Arthur saw people sitting in a park simply being, not checking their cell phones, not planning their next move, just fully existing. And the alien transmitted. Fifth characteristic, beyond duality. In 5D, you understand that apparent opposites are complements. Good and evil are perspectives, not absolute truths. This doesn't mean accepting cruelty. It means responding with wisdom instead of reaction, choosing love even when hatred seems justified. The vision showed conflict, but people responding not with anger, but with firm compassion, establishing boundaries without violence, transforming situations instead of escalating them. And the alien paused the vision, letting Arthur absorb. These are two Earths, two experiences of reality, not separate physical places, but separate frequencies, occupying the same space. And after 2033, the division will be complete. Each human consciousness will experience a version corresponding to the frequency it chose. Arthur, processing the magnitude, asked, and people in 3D and 5D will be on the same Earth, but won't see each other? And the alien corrected, they will see each other physically, but they won't connect. It will be like speaking different languages. A person in 3D will look at a person in 5D and find them naive, dreamy, weak. A person in 5D will look at a person in 3D and feel compassion, but won't be able to convince them to change. The divergence of realities will be so great that attempts at connection will fail. Arthur felt a growing sense of urgency. And how do I know where I am? How do I choose 5D if I want to? And the alien conveyed a crucial message. It's not a single big choice. It's thousands of small daily choices that accumulate. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take, vibrates at a specific frequency. Choices based on fear vibrate in 3D. Choices based on love vibrate in 5D. And the dominant frequency of your choices determines your frequency of consciousness. And the alien showed a floating list, not written but telepathic indicators that you primarily vibrate in 3D. You live in constant fear, worry about money, security, status, judge others harshly, compete instead of collaborate, are materialistic, have a need to control, experience frequent anger, have persistent guilt. Focus on what you lack instead of being grateful for what you have. Arthur recognized many of those. 42 years living exactly like that. And the alien continued. Indicators that you are vibrating towards 5D. You choose love, even when it's difficult. Genuine daily gratitude. Service to others without expecting anything in return. Forgiveness of yourself and others. Acceptance of what is while working to improve. Presence in the moment. Connection with nature. Growing intuition. Increasing synchronicities. and the alien delivered the final blow. Arthur, look honestly at your life. Not the life you projected to others, but your inner reality. For the last 42 years, where were you? And for the last 2 years in your spiritual search, where are you moving towards? You don't need to be perfect. Nobody is. But direction matters. Are you moving towards love or still imprisoned by fear, Arthur? A heavy inner silence, seeing an uncomfortable truth. 42 years, definitely 3D, but the last 2 years, a desperate search, emptiness, forcing change, perhaps the beginning of movement. And the alien, seeing the inner process, said, time still remains. 5 to 10 years, enough to completely change trajectory if you consciously choose. But you need to know it's not about rituals or beliefs, it's about daily choices. I'll show you exactly how. The vision around Arthur returned to the interior of the ship, seated again on the molded surface and the alien beside the console. Arthur, most humans who awaken to this information ask the same question. What should I do? They seek elaborate rituals, secret techniques, special initiations. But the truth is radically simple and simultaneously extremely difficult. It all boils down to choose love instead of fear thousands of times a day in every small situation. Arthur frowned. That's all. That seems too simplistic. And the alien conveyed firmness. Simple isn't easy. Look at your life. How many times a day do you choose fear? How many automatic choices are based on ego protection, avoiding discomfort, judging others, worrying about the future, or lamenting the past? Thousands. And each of those choices reinforces 3D vibration. And the alien showed vision. A typical day for Arthur before the encounter. Waking up at 3:00 inches the morning with anxiety about impending death. Fear looking in the mirror. Seeing his body aging. Self-judgment. Breakfast. Reading the news. Getting irritated with politics. Anger. Interaction with Martha being distant because he was worried about existential emptiness. Separation. Going to the supermarket, ignoring the cashier who tried to have a friendly conversation. Disconnection. Arthur watched his own life uncomfortably. So literally everything I do reinforces the wrong frequency? And the alien gently corrected him. Not everything, but most of it. Because for 42 years you trained 3D patterns, deep neural pathways, automatic reactions. But in the last 2 years, something changed. You started questioning, searching, reading spiritual books even without finishing them, trying to meditate even when failing. That's the beginning of change. Seeds planted, and now, with an understanding of why, you can accelerate. And the alien transmitted a practical list, not abstract, but concrete. I'm going to give you specific choices that raise your frequency. You don't need to do them all perfectly, but the more you practice, the faster your vibration changes. First, upon waking, before checking your cell phone, before your mind starts worrying, 5 minutes of gratitude, not forced, but genuine. Look around. Be grateful for breathing, for a comfortable bed, for Martha by your side, for another day alive. Arthur thought about his routine. His first act was always checking the news, filling his mind with global problems he couldn't control. What if my mind resists? What if gratitude seems fake? And the alien replied, start small. You don't need to feel gratitude for your whole life just for one specific thing. Hot coffee, a bird singing outside. The fact that back pain isn't so bad today. Authenticity matters more than magnitude. The alien continued. Second choice in interactions with others. Pause before speaking. Ask yourself, am I speaking from ego or from the heart? Am I trying to prove something or genuinely connect? And choose the latter when possible. For example, Martha comments on something. Your automatic reaction might be to correct her, to prove you're right. That's 3D ego. But you can choose to pause, truly listen, validate her feelings even if you don't agree with the fact. That's 5D heart. Arthur recognized the pattern. Decades of correcting Martha, always needing to be right. How many unnecessary arguments? Does that mean never disagreeing? And the alien corrected. No, it means disagreeing respectfully, understanding that two perspectives can coexist. You don't need to convince everyone of your view. You can simply share and allow for difference. It dissolves the need to win every conversation. Alien continued. Third choice. When you feel anger, fear, judgment arising, don't repress it, but also don't act immediately. Observe the emotion as a witness. I'm feeling anger now. Interesting. What does this reveal about my attachment? The space between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. 3D reacts automatically. 5D responds consciously. Arthur thought about the political news that infuriated him daily. So, should I stop caring about the world's problems? And the alien offered nuance. No, care, but from a place of compassion, not anger. Anger pollutes your frequency without solving problems. Compassion keeps your frequency high while inspiring constructive action. The difference is between shouting about injustice online, fueling hatred, versus working quietly on local solutions. Planting real change. Alien continued the list. Fourth choice daily. A moment of connection with nature, no long walk necessary. 5 minutes, barefoot on the grass, looking at a tree, feeling the wind. Gaia is planetary consciousness that is rising. Connecting with her physically aligns your frequency with hers, accelerates the process. Arthur, who had a backyard but never really stopped to try it out, nodded, and the alien continued. Fifth choice. Service without expectation. One small action a day. Helping someone without them knowing who helped. Buying coffee for the person behind you in line. Leaving a generous tip. Genuinely praising someone. Anonymous acts of kindness dissolve ego because they don't receive credit but raise frequency because the heart expands. And the alien delivered a crucial message. Sixth choice, perhaps most important for you specifically, Arthur. Forgiveness of yourself first. For 42 years focusing on the wrong things. For wasting time as you think you did. Forgiveness doesn't mean you were right. It means releasing weight. Every moment you carry guilt or regret, you anchor yourself in 3D. Forgiveness cuts the anchor, allows movement. Arthur felt resistance. How can I forgive 42 years? Literally half my life wasted, and the alien conveyed gentleness. Not wasted, lived. You learned lessons through that experience. Ego, materialism, the resulting emptiness. Those lessons were necessary to value what you seek now. If you had been born enlightened, you wouldn't appreciate light. Darkness teaches the value of light. Forgive darkness for having been your teacher. Arthur felt something loosening in his chest. The possibility of letting go. And the alien continued. And forgiveness from others, people who hurt you, situations that marked you. You don't forgive because you deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. Carrying resentment is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. It only keeps you imprisoned at a low frequency. Alien paused, then continued. And the seventh choice is specific to the phase you're going through. Action aligned with purpose. The emptiness you feel isn't because you don't have a hobby. It's because you don't have a purpose greater than yourself. Ask yourself, with the time I have left, 5, 10, 20 years, how do I want to serve? Not a grand career, but a genuine contribution. Perhaps mentoring young professionals. Perhaps volunteering for a cause that matters. Perhaps just being a present grandfather that grandchildren will remember with love. Arthur, for the first time, seriously considering. My grandson Leo asked about the meaning of life, and I didn't know the answer. Maybe start there. Learn the answer, so I can teach it. And the alien conveyed approval. Excellent. Teaching children is a noble service, especially if you teach not through sermons but through example. Living in such a way that when they observe you, they see love, gratitude, presence, not empty words, but a living demonstration. And the alien summarized. These 7 choices practiced daily. Not perfectly but consistently. Change vibrational frequency in months, not years, because each choice is like tuning an instrument. You start out of tune, but each small adjustment brings you closer to resonance, with a new planetary frequency, and the closer you get, the easier it becomes because you naturally vibrate in alignment. Arthur absorbed the list, not overwhelmed, but empowered. Concrete steps, not abstract philosophy. What if I fail? What if I choose fear instead of love? Sometimes, alien conveyed crucially, You will fail often, especially at the beginning. 42 years of patterns don't dissolve in a week. But the difference between 3D and 5D is not never failing. It's recognizing when you failed, forgiving yourself, and choosing differently next time. In 3D, failure leads to paralyzing guilt. In 5D, failure is feedback that instructs. The alien showed a final vision of the element. 2 diverging paths, one path showing Arthur continuing old patterns, the next 10 years sinking further into emptiness, isolation, bitterness, experiencing 3D Earth and descending frequency until physical death without understanding. The other path showing Arthur applying daily choices, the next 10 years gradually blossoming, reconnecting with Martha deeply, being a present grandfather, finding purpose in service, and when the split is complete in 2033, naturally sliding into 5D, Earth, experiencing a reality of love, lightness, conscious creation. Alien left visions side by side. Both futures are possible, not destiny, but probabilities based on present choices. Free will is real, and you at every moment are choosing which future manifests. Not a single grand choice, but thousands of small choices accumulated. Arthur looked at both paths, deeply feeling which one he wanted, which one he had been choosing for 42 years, versus which one he could choose now. And the alien said, "Ready to see what happens if you do not choose to ascend? I also need to show you post 2033, Earth 3D. Not to scare you, but to fully inform you. Complete knowledge allows for informed choice." Arthur, swallowing hard, knowing he needed to see both sides, nodded. "Show me." His vision changed abruptly. Arthur no longer saw 2 possible paths, but was immersed in only one. Dark, heavy, oppressive, and he recognized Phoenix again. The same streets, the same buildings, but a completely different atmosphere. The air dense as if breathing required effort. The sky gray even without clouds. The colors faded like an old film, and the alien narrated with weight. Earth 3D post 2033. A reality experience for those who haven't raised their frequency. Not physical destruction like a biblical apocalypse, but extreme density. Magnified psychological suffering. Arthur walked down the street in the vision. People all around, but no one connecting. Each in their own individual bubble. Faces not just tense, but desperate. Empty eyes. Mechanical movements. And the alien transmitted. First characteristic of 3D post-reset. Absolute isolation. The illusion of separation that always existed in 3D intensifies dramatically because those who chose unity, love, connection, are no longer vibrating at this frequency. They have perceptually left, so those who remain experience a world of people increasingly disconnected from each other. The vision focused on an apartment, a person alone, surrounded by technology, multiple screens, but no real human connection. And the alien narrated, epidemic loneliness, not because people don't exist, but because nobody can connect. Superficial conversations, commercial transactions, but true intimacy disappears because intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust, and trust requires a frequency of love, which doesn't exist in pure 3D. Arthur felt a chill, recognizing this already beginning. People around him increasingly isolated, depression growing. And the alien continued. Second characteristic, dominant fear. Without the balance of higher consciousness, fear becomes the standard atmosphere. Fear of violence, of economic collapse, of disease, of other humans. And fear breeds more fear, a self-perpetuating cycle. Control systems increase because a terrified population accepts surveillance, restrictions, anything that promises security. The vision showed a city with cameras on every corner, checkpoints, people constantly checking documents. An atmosphere of a police state, not due to external tyranny, but due to internal demand from a population paralyzed by fear. And the alien transmitted. And the cruel irony, the more control, the less real security. Because true security comes from internal trust, not external control. But 3D consciousnesses don't understand this. They seek security through dominating the environment. It always fails. It generates more fear. Arthur witnessed protests, not peaceful, but violent. Opposing groups not dialoguing but battling. Pure hatred. And the alien narrated. Third characteristic. Extreme polarization. The duality that has always existed in 3D becomes an insurmountable abyss. Left versus right, religion versus science, nation versus nation, race versus race, each side completely demonizing the other. No dialogue possible because no one vibrates at the frequency of compassion necessary to hear the opposing perspective. And Alien showed consequences. Escalating conflicts, not immediate nuclear war, but constant violence, shootings, terrorism, small tribes fighting for resources, government trying to control but failing because the problem is not structural but vibrational. Fourth characteristic, collapse of systems. Not because Earth physically collapses, but because humans in 3D cannot cooperate sufficiently to maintain complex systems. The global economy fragments into local economies. Advanced technology degrades because it requires international cooperation that no longer exists at low frequencies. Arthur saw hospitals lacking supplies, schools closing, infrastructure deteriorating, not a sudden apocalypse, but a steady, gradual decline. And the alien transmitted, and worse than external deterioration, is internal deterioration. The fifth characteristic, collective existential despair. Without access to higher consciousnesses that inspire, without connection to the higher dimensions that 5D Earth allows, humans in 3D are trapped in pure materialism. And when the body ages, disease comes, death approaches, absolute panic because there is no understanding of continuity, only fear of annihilation. The vision showed hospitals filled not only with physically ill people, but also with mental breakdowns, paralyzing anxiety, severe depression, and increasing suicide. Not because life is technically impossible, but because it is empty, without purpose, without hope, without light. And the alien conveyed weight. Sixth characteristic, cyclical reincarnation in 3D. Those who die vibrating in 3D reincarnate on Earth, 3D, not as punishment, but as a natural law. Consciousness returns to the corresponding frequency. Then the cycle continues. Birth in an environment of fear, life of suffering, death in panic, rebirth in 3D again until lessons are learned and consciousness chooses to elevate. Arthur, his horror growing, asked, "So it's prison? They're trapped forever?" And the alien corrected him. Not forever. Eventually, after multiple lifetimes, after enough suffering, consciousness awakens. It seeks something beyond, and when it genuinely chooses love over fear, it rises, possible at any moment. But the longer it spends in pure 3D, the harder it gets because patterns become deeply ingrained. Generations born in post-reset 3D will grow up without examples of 5D, without knowing what alternative exists. The vision showed children being born into a gray world, growing up without knowing the vibrant colors of 5D, thinking that reality is only suffering, density, struggle, and without contrast, without seeing different possibilities, motivation to change diminishes. Resignation becomes the norm. Life is like this. It always has been, it always will be, and the cycle perpetuates for generations. Arthur, feeling an overwhelming weight, asked, "But do people there still have free will? Can they still choose differently?" And the alien confirmed, "Yes, always. Free will is sacred, never removed. But choosing against the current of the entire reality is extremely difficult. Imagine trying to meditate in a war zone, trying to practice gratitude in an environment of collective despair. Possible but requires immense strength. That's why the window now is precious. While both frequencies coexist, you can see contrast. You can choose clearly. You can move to 5D before the division is complete." The alien showed contrast. A split screen. A gray, dense, desperate 3D Earth next to a vibrant, light-loving 5D Earth. Same physical location, same streets, but experiences so radically different that they could be separate planets. After 2033, when the split is complete, movement between frequencies becomes much more difficult. Not impossible, but requires a massive quantum leap, whereas now, it only requires consistent daily choices. The door is still open, but closing. Arthur, Urgency transformed into determination. And how long exactly? You said 2033, but that's only 8 years. And the alien confirmed, 8 Earth years. It may seem like a lot, but considering 42 years you've lived in opposing patterns, 8 years to completely reverse is short. And the process is already accelerating. You see symptoms all around. The world visibly dividing, the mad getting madder, the awakened getting more awakened, each side moving to the extreme. The vision showed recent news that Arthur recognized: extreme political division, increasing violence, but also growing movements of love, people helping strangers, compassion blossoming in unexpected places, both sides intensifying. The point of no return approaches, not an exact date, but a window. And when it closes, the experience of reality that you chose through thousands of daily decisions becomes the path you walk for a very, very long time. Arthur, gazing at the 3D Earth in the vision, asked what he feared. And me? Honestly, where am I now? If division happened today, which Earth would I experience? And the alien paused, measuring, then conveyed honesty. Today, still primarily 3D. 42 years of patterns don't dissolve in weeks. But in the last 2 years, movement has begun. Spiritual seeking, questioning, emptiness, forcing, awakening. You are in transition, not solidly 3D anymore, but not yet firmly 5D, intermediate zone. And that means that the choices you make in the coming months and years will completely determine your trajectory. Arthur took a deep breath. Fear present but not paralyzing, motivating. So there's still time, but not infinite. And the alien confirmed, exactly. And now, knowing clearly what's at stake, you can consciously choose, not a guarantee of perfection, but a commitment to direction. Ready to see how to integrate all this into practical life? How to start today? Arthur, knowing that the answer would literally determine an eternity of experience, nodded firmly. Show me what to do now. Arthur returned completely to normal consciousness inside the ship, a soft blue-silver light, but he was transformed, not externally, but internally. Different eyes. The urgency he had carried for 2 years now with clear direction, and the alien observing silently, allowing integration. Minutes of silence. Arthur processing the magnitude, Earth rising, division happening, 8 years remaining, daily choices determining an eternity of experience. And finally, he looked at the alien. You said I can start today. Now what do I do first? When I get back home, Martha, asleep, normal life waiting. How do I start without looking crazy? Alien conveyed kindness. Don't announce transformation. Don't wake Martha up saying, Alien showed me a planetary reset. Start quietly, internally, changing behavior, not preaching theory. People will notice a difference in you before they understand the cause, and the difference will inspire curiosity. Then you can share when they genuinely ask. And the alien instructed, first action upon arriving home, don't go back to sleep trying, but sit in silence for 5 minutes. Give thanks genuinely. Not for the extraordinary experience of this night, but for simple things. Martha breathing beside you, the house that protects you, the opportunity for another day. Establish a foundation of gratitude now, not tomorrow, because the mind will forget the urgency if you don't act immediately. Arthur nodded, recording instructions, and the alien continued. Then, when Martha wakes up, first interaction, pause before speaking, observe old patterns, impulse to respond automatically, correct, defend ego, and choose differently. Listen completely. Respond from the heart. Small but initial, and the alien conveyed practically. The first few weeks will be difficult. 42 years of patterns will persist. The mind will justify old choices. Just this once, it doesn't matter. I'm too old to change. But each time you recognize the pattern and choose differently, a new neural pathway reinforces it. It gets progressively easier, not linearly, but cumulatively. Alien paused, then delivered a crucial message. And seek community. You don't have to do it alone. Others around you are also awakening. Maybe they don't know about resetting specifically, but they feel a similar urgency. Meditation groups, volunteering. You'll find people vibrating towards 5D. Connecting with them amplifies your frequency, just as connecting with people attached to 3D pulls you down. Arthur thought about his current friends, mostly retired executives like himself. Conversations about golf, investments, political complaints. So, do I need to abandon old friends? And Alien corrected him. Not abandon them, but don't become emotionally dependent. You can stay in touch, but don't let their vibe drag you down. And simultaneously, make room for new connections aligned with the direction you're moving. And the alien conveyed the final message. And Arthur, specifically for you, the purpose you mentioned, being a present grandfather, start there. Call your son today, not tomorrow. Schedule time with your grandchildren, not an obligatory visit, but genuine presence. Turn off your cell phone, sit on the floor with them, listen to stories, play, and when your grandson asks again, "Grandpa, what is the meaning of life?" don't deflect. Answer honestly, "I'm learning. Let's discover it together." Vulnerability teaches more than false certainty. Arthur felt tears welling up. 42 years as a distant grandfather, focused on financial legacy, but not emotional. Isn't it too late? They know me as distant. And the alien conveyed firmness. It's never too late as long as you breathe. Children forgive quickly. Adults who complicate things just show up genuinely, consistently, not once grand, but weekly simply, and connection rebuilds. The ship began to vibrate gently, a sign that its limited time was ending. And the alien said, "Dawn is coming. Martha will wake up soon. I need to leave, but you won't go alone. The change you begin today, if continued, will not only save you from 3D, but inspire ripples around you. Martha will see the difference. Her children will notice. Her grandchildren will feel it. And everyone touched by your transformation can choose something similar, a cascading effect." Arthur stood up. "Will I see you again?" And the alien transmitted, "Perhaps not physically, but we are always watching. And as you raise your frequency, our presence becomes more perceptible. Dreams, intuitions, synchronicities. You are not alone on this journey. Millions awakening simultaneously, a silent army choosing love over fear daily." The alien walked to the opening that formed in the ship. "Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about direction. Every choice counts. Every moment is a new opportunity. And 8 years are enough if used consciously." And with that, the luminous form dissolved. The ship rose silently, disappearing into the sky, brightening with the first light of dawn. Arthur stood alone in the yard, the cold of the desert night still present, but not bothering him. He looked at the sky where the spacecraft had disappeared, then at the house, the first light appearing through the bedroom window. Martha would wake up in minutes, and Arthur, for the first time in 2 years, felt not emptiness, but possibility. He entered the house silently, went to the living room, sat on the sofa where he had spent countless nights watching aimless TV, and closed his eyes for 5 minutes as the alien had instructed, and began, not elaborately, just honestly, "Grateful for having woken up today. Grateful for Martha. Grateful for my children, even though they are far away. Grateful for my grandchildren whom I barely know but can get to know. Grateful for the time that remains. 8 years enough." And something changed internally, not dramatically but real. A small light turning on where there had been emptiness. Not complete fulfillment, but a beginning. Martha came downstairs 20 minutes later, found Arthur making coffee unusual for him, and commented in surprise, "You woke up early? Couldn't sleep again?" And Arthur, his old pattern would have been to respond defensively, "That's none of your business." But he paused, remembered his instruction, and replied from the heart, "I woke up early but differently today, not anxious, clear-headed. I wanted to make coffee for you like I used 2 years ago." Martha blinked, not expecting that. "Are you feeling all right?" And Arthur smiled genuinely. "I'm starting to feel all right, Martha, for the first time in a long time. And can we talk over coffee? Really talk, not just coexist." And they talked for the first time in months, truly connecting. Arthur, practicing listening without correcting, validating without judging. And Martha, initially cautious, gradually opened up, and in the end, she said, confused but hopeful, "I don't know what changed, but I like it." Later that day, Arthur called his son. The conversation was initially uncomfortable, because years of distance don't dissolve in minutes. But Arthur persisted, vulnerable. David, I know I haven't been an emotionally present father, focused on providing financially, but absent in other ways, and I'm trying to change. Late, I know, but can I spend time with my grandchildren this week? Not a quick visit, but the whole afternoon, just me and them. David, shocked and silent. Then a careful voice. Dad, of course they'd love to, but is everything all right? This sudden change, and Arthur, honest. I had an awakening. I can't fully explain it yet, but I realized that time is running out. I don't want to die being a grandfather that grandchildren vaguely remember. I want to be present while I can. And in the following weeks, Arthur applied the list daily, not perfectly, failed frequently, reacted angrily, occasionally, judged others automatically. But the difference was that he noticed when he failed, forgave himself, chose differently next time, and cumulatively, changes accumulated. A month after their meeting, Arthur sat on the floor playing with his 7-year-old grandson, building with blocks. And the grandson asked, not for the first time, but for the first time with his grandfather fully present, Grandpa, what's the meaning of life? And Arthur, without dodging the question, answered, Honestly, I'm learning, buddy. I think it's about loving people while they're here, about being kind, about helping others, and about discovering who we really are beyond work and money. I'm still figuring it out. Do you want to discover it with me? And the grandson smiled. Yes. And they continued playing, but something passed between them, a real connection. And Arthur knew this. This moment is worth more than 42 years of promotions. 6 months after that impossible night, Arthur Bennett was in a park with his 7-year-old grandson, watching the child run free, laughing, and he thought about something the alien had said, but only fully understood now. Children naturally vibrate in 5D until the 3D world teaches them to forget. And seeing his grandson, still innocent, still connected, still effortlessly loving, Arthur understood his true mission. Not to save him from the world, but to preserve the light he already had, to prevent the 3D system from extinguishing it. And when his grandson came running back, he hugged Arthur spontaneously. Something so simple. But Arthur, a man who had spent 42 years avoiding vulnerability, hugged him back completely, without haste, without discomfort, just presence. And his grandson whispered, I love you, Grandpa. And Arthur, without hesitation, I love you too, buddy, more than you know. 6 months ago, those words would have gotten stuck in his throat. Today, they flowed naturally, not because Arthur turned out perfect, but because he made thousands of small choices that dissolved his armor. Martha noticed, commenting, Last week, you're different, Arthur. Lighter, more present. What happened? And Arthur partially shared, not aliens and resets, but essence. I realized I was living wrong, focusing on things that don't matter, changing while I still have time. And she, initially skeptical, saw daily evidence. Arthur genuinely listening. Arthur serving without expecting anything in return. Arthur choosing gratitude over complaining. And slowly she too began to change. A vibrational contagion, not preaching, but demonstration. And Arthur, by telling the story now, wants you to understand something that took 69 years and an alien encounter to comprehend. The emptiness you feel is not depression. It's a soul screaming, not about clinical diagnosis. Regarding spiritual calling, you can have everything that society says you should want. Home, career, family, security, and then waking up at 3:00 the morning sweating, feeling that something fundamental is wrong. Not with external life, but with internal frequency. Arthur had everything and nothing at the same time, because it was built on a 3D foundation, separation, ego, materialism. And when everything is built on a false foundation, emptiness is inevitable. Not because you failed, but because the soul recognizes truth. Even when he lies, he still believes in lies. The urgency you feel is not anxiety. It is temporality being revealed. 8 years, perhaps less. Window closing, not the end of the world, but for the choice of worlds. And you can feel it, not rationally, viscerally. waking up in the middle of the night, a feeling that time is running out, not just lifespan, but it's time for something bigger, opportunity closing. You are sure he's not crazy. He is waking up while others sleep and wake up before the collective alarm. It's uncomfortable, but it is a privilege because it gives you time to choose consciously. It's not about rituals. Arthur tried meditation. It failed. He tried church. It didn't resonate. He read 30 books. It didn't fill the void because he was looking for an external solution for internal needs. 5D is not a technique. It's a choice. Thousands of times a day. Love or fear, connection or separation, gratitude or complaint, presence or distraction. Every moment, new opportunity. You don't need a guru. No initiation required. No elaborate ritual is needed. You just need to decide and then decide again and again until choice becomes nature. 42 years are not lost. Arthur thought he had wasted his life. 42 years focusing on the wrong thing. But Alien revealed the truth. Darkness teaches the value of light. Without 42 years in 3D, Arthur wouldn't appreciate 5D. Without emptiness, I wouldn't be looking for real fulfillment. Without pain, I wouldn't value peace. You too, perhaps years, decades, focusing on things that don't satisfy. They were not wasted. They were preparation. For the moment when you finally understand and choose differently, not despite the past, but informed by the past. 8 years are enough, if used consciously. Arthur was 69, 42-year patterns, and in 6 months, visible transformation, not complete, but it's real, not because it's special, but because he decided and he applied it daily. You are 8 years old, approximately 2,900 days, 20,000 opportunities to choose love over fear, enough to completely rewrite frequency. If you start today, not tomorrow, today. Because every day that passes without conscious choice is a day that reinforces an old frequency and a narrow window. Arthur decided that night, and he has applied it every day since then. Not perfectly, but consistently. And you still waiting for a bigger sign? Are you hoping for a guarantee of success? Waiting for the perfect moment? It's not coming. This is the sign. This is the guarantee. This is the moment. You felt a calling when you heard that. Something in you recognized truth. No coincidence, not an algorithm. The soul brought you here. And now the question is, are you going to listen, or will you go back to sleep? Sleep is comfortable, familiar, safe, but waking up. Awakening is living. The choice is yours. It always has been. Remember, you are not here by chance. Something in the story was meant for you. Specifically for you. Perhaps the confirmation you were looking for. Perhaps the calling you finally heard. Or perhaps it's just the seed planted today that will germinate tomorrow. It doesn't matter what happened. What matters is that you made it this far. And that's all. Until the next story.